Okay.
Okay, I'm with you.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Whitney. I'm here with the SMO Podcast, and I'm here with Brian Kent. Very excited to meet you, Brian. Go ahead and share with us for everyone that is watching. Would love to know who you are and what do you do.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, thanks for hosting me today. And I look forward to a great couple of minutes with you here as we talk about me and you. Name's Brian Kent. My PhD is in tech transfer. I'm a serial entrepreneur. Have bought and sold a couple of companies, and I've managed from a startup to 400 million a year annually for an international Fortune 100 company. Over the last couple of years, since I left corporate America, I've worked with small companies and mid-sized companies to learn to scale. I literally go into the company or I have phone calls with them or conference calls with them to actually talk about finding out what the problem is and why they may have plateaued or what their strategy is. And of course, I wrote my first book about that called The R Factor: Scaling Your Business Through Relationship Management. And the key piece that a lot of companies are missing are, do they have the right butt in the right seat? Have they done the right thing to identify exactly what that person's supposed to do? If that person's not qualified, you need to come up with a way to screen them. And if they're qualified, you know they're ready to go. If they're missing one of the skills, you as a company need to identify what it is. And do they need to do it at night, or do you need to allow them to go get trained during the day? Then I talk about the relationships from the person into the departments, because the sales department can promise the world. That doesn't mean your operations department can deliver. So it's
Mm.
really about the relationship across operations, business development, finance, to how does that work? And if we have a customer or a client, somebody in operations might have a better relationship with that customer than our business development or our sales guys do. So it's really understanding who has the relationship or the strength within your organization. Same thing with your exterior customers. How do we talk to them? Do we know about them? Do we care about them? Do we understand why they buy? So in the book, I cover the four quadrants, of current customer, current business, all the way through new customer, new business. So it really wraps that relationship piece in the discussion.
I love this so much. I love this conversation. And I love how you mentioned, do we know them? Do we care about them? And do we know why they buy? There was so much wisdom in what you just said. And I think a lot of us can take away those gems that you said. But I'd love to go back and hear from you. How did you even get started? And what led you to take this path seriously?
So I am a retired military veteran, 20 years in the Army. My last 4.5 years in the Army, I was actually a government buyer. And with that, as we were testing new technology, I found gaps in individual learning, gaps in individual capability. So that led me to go get my PhD in technology transfer, because that made me understand exactly the process between using a tool and how people needed to adapt to the tool, or how we need to adapt the tool to the people. Fast forward a few years, my first company, that's actually what we did. We worked with companies and we built the test plans that they would use, and really would take the time to say, okay, what do they know? What do they not know? How do we interface with it? What's it supposed to do? Because at that time, this is Apple, the iPhone was new, and Apple's way of teaching you was, here's the iPhone, go play. Well, the challenge with the military or a lot of businesses, you can't take that risk with your tool, because somebody could get hurt, they're not using it the right way, or they're not using it to its fullest capability. And then you go to Google review and they're going to be able to go, that tool was terrible. Don't buy it. And the problem was they didn't have the right type of training or the right type of capability to learn the tool to use it to its fullest. So that
Mm.
led me fast forward into multiple businesses, multiple consulting opportunities. And even today, I still do that with some government clients and business clients, where we're looking at technology and how to bring it into the marketplace or how to bring it into the battlefield.
Wow, this is an amazing conversation already. If you guys are listening, make sure you're taking notes because there's a lot of wisdom in everything that you're saying, Brian. I would love to hear from you. I think because you are someone that is doing all the things, I can tell, you're an author, you're a business owner, you're serving, so many people. And so, was there ever a moment for you where you felt like you wanted to quit, but you didn't?
Oh boy, I think those come all the time. I
Yeah.
think If you're consulting for somebody and you continue to tell their leadership, hey, you need to adjust this, you need to adjust this, and they don't, you're like, just fire them as a client. I mean, there's other people that need your time. But you get those kind of reactions, or you get a business where you've done something, you've done all the work for the contract, and with our federal government, it's a perfect example. It's time for your contract to be awarded when you go into a government shutdown, and everything stops. There's
Mm.
no contract, there's no work. Now you're laying people off because the work's not coming. And the frustrating part is when that happens, you just have to figure out a way to get to the next day. And but if you're the leader at that time, or you're the consultant trying to help a company at that time, it's very frustrating because the whole plan gets derailed. And that happens in corporate America too. Sometimes companies get a new CEO, and the strategy or the road ahead changes. The company pivots, goes another direction, and companies just kind of they decide to separate and part ways. Well, there's employees involved in that. So if you're part of that, sometimes it's frustrating, but it's just part of business. You have to be, I say, make your next high higher and your next low not as low. That way you can
Mm.
fit in the middle of in the band of excellence.
Say that again. You
Make your
have to
next high even higher and your next low not as low.
I love
So
that so much.
it's like a stock
Talk-
market tracker,
Yeah.
right? You see it going up and down, but it's going up and down and it keeps going up.
That was a whoa, that's good moment right there. I love that so much. Brian, tell us for someone that maybe is feeling stuck right now, whether it be in business or in life, and maybe they're like you and they have so many different skill sets, they have so many different responsibilities and roles in the marketplace. How do they get unstuck? What is some advice that you would give to them?
Shameless plug, go to brianlkent.com and I'll definitely help you with that. But a quick nugget for that for you is, or for our viewers, first of all, do you have clear goals? If you have clear goals, have you worked with your team to build the strategy and the steps to become successful in those goals? If that communication and that strategy are not clear so that everybody in the organization knows how you're going to get to the goals, then we as the leader have not communicated well enough. And I tell people all the time, our communication with our subordinates and our teammates needs to be so clear that if you're on a quarterly bonus system, that when they're coming down the hall on the 1st of April after the 31st of March, they know whether they're bringing their box to go home or they know if they're coming to get a check. If you've made it that clear, success will happen.
Hmm, that's good. That's really good. Brian, tell us maybe for somebody that is working with you now, your clients, what is one result that they're getting from you?
So, various things. It depends on what they bring us in for. If they're bringing us in to build a contract strategy, we work with them to figure out what their market is, what their contracts need to look like, how are their customers buying. We use an acronym called the BAN. It's called who's in an organization. There's three parts to a transaction. First one is who's got the money in the organization, who's got the authority to spend the money, and who's got the need. So as you're looking at your customer or your potential buyer, you need to understand who are the decision makers in those three functions so that you can have success. So we work with them to identify that for business development or that for their contract strategy. And then if we stay with them longer than kind of going through their strategy and want us to help them actually map their first couple of wins. One of my last customers just picked up a $50 million 5-year contract. We're working with another customer now that'll probably pick up another couple of $1 million on the contracts because we don't, in the federal government space, contracts are in the millions, not in the thousands. So it's success for them is trying to build, some companies that'd be a huge home run, but in dealing with the federal government, $1 million contract is a relatively small contract. So, but the key is to build the strategy. The key is to work with them and then kind of work with them on what the proposal should look like. We don't like to get in the proposal writing because we really would like to train them so they can start working on their own. In other words, we're not part of their team. We're an asset to their team, not their team. Um,
Mm,
so
I
that's
love
kind of
that.
where
I love
you
that whole
train the
idea
trainer.
of, hmm,
Yeah.
yeah. So you're teaching them and developing them where they can now go out on their own and be, instead of just trying to do things on their own. They're learning with you. So you're their guide, but now they can actually go out and do it themselves as well.
That's
So you're
correct.
teaching them how to fish.
Well, exactly. And some of that too is kind of like when you're in a conference or whatever, you bring a facilitator in because the consultant in this case, I don't have any skin in the game. If you have an ugly baby, I'll say you have an ugly baby. But I'm trying to carry the conversation forward so we can figure out where the problems are, overcome the problems, become a better company.
Yeah, I love it. I love it so much. I think you have such an interesting concept of what you bring because I think, you're focusing on helping people building relationships and in a very unique way. And I want you to tell us a little bit more about that in a way where we can, go out. Like, what is some advice that you have if we're now trying to build relationships in business and maybe we're struggling to build that rapport or retain that client and keep them as, as a business owner?
First of all, I think you got to identify who your top clients are. But it's almost like the business owner talking to the janitor. Does the business owner know the janitor's name?
Mm,
Is he married or is she married? Do they have
mm,
kids? Your
yeah.
customer should be the same way. One of my customers one time, I got a picture of his baby while he was still in the hospital.
Mm,
So when you have those kind of relationships, you understand what those people are going through. And one of the examples I use is in the late 1980s, the EPA said gas stations had to owe an overhaul to their underground tanks. Well, they kicked that can about 2 decades. Then 2005, 2010, they were like, it's got to be done by this date. Well, if you didn't have the relationship and you're the pretzel guy or the Frito Lay guy or the Pepsi guy with the gas station owner or the gas station manager, you didn't know this pain they're going through. But then
mm,
when you pull up on Monday morning with your Pepsi truck or your Coke truck and the gas station's closed or there's yellow tape around the gas things, guess what they're not selling today? Not
mm.
just gas. They're not selling Pepsis. They're not selling Frito Lays. But if you would have had a relationship, you would have known that because now how many stations on your route are going to be affected and how much revenue is your business going to lose because you didn't talk to your customer?
Wow, that's so good. And I think what you're doing right now is you're teaching us principles. You're teaching us how to live by principles. So for me, I would love to know, and I think those that are watching and listening in are taking away so much gems right now that they can actually apply today. I'd love to know for, someone that has this skill set of building relationships and allowing people to really be seen, remembering the details. What does being personally seen and heard mean to you?
Oh, wow, that's full, right? So, one of the things, if you're a leader, your employees need to know who you are. If you've got multiple locations, don't manage from your ivory tower. Get up, travel to your locations. Not only do they need to know who you are, they need to know what your face is. They see your face probably on the board, but when's the last time you've checked on them?
Mm,
I know a lot of leaders. Um, and when I had my largest operation, I would cover 17 time zones. And one of the tasks for Christmas, my boss said, anywhere you have more than 12 people, I want you to have a Christmas party. Well, that
mm.
year I had 9 Christmas parties.
Wow.
But I had them in Berlin. I had them in England. I had one in Stuttgart. I had one in Fayetteville, North Carolina, one in Washington, D.C., one in Tampa, Florida. But it showed that I cared enough, even though I was an executive, to get on the plane and go see them and tell them Merry Christmas and break a little bread with them.
This might be one of my favorite podcast episodes up to date because I love that you're very intentional with the things that you do and you provide for your clients, for your people, and you have the understanding behind the importance of building relationships, of keeping them, of pouring into people. And I think that is such a underrated skill set that people now are realizing, it's in everything. Building relationships is essential key to life. So Brian, do you have any last words or wisdom for us in actually, being that person for other people to really just, understand that we're there for them, we're there to serve them, and we're there to, be that guide for them.
Absolutely. I'm going to give you one example to answer that question. One, what is the dream or goal that your current employee has? Two, there's nothing wrong with that current employee having a goal that doesn't include you.
Mm,
And you should do, as an owner or a manager, what you can do to help that employee achieve their goal. If that means they need to get a degree or they need to buy a house or whatever they got to do, even if it means helping them move to another company. If they move to another company, now what you've got is an apostle that's sending people back to you for work, not somebody bad mouthing you because you fired them.
wow. Amazing, amazing advice. I have one last question for you because I think this is just such a powerful conversation. What is a mindset shift, if anything, that changed everything for you?
How do you serve people to make everybody better?
Mm, yeah,
Because we are in a me generation with a 90-day clock because that's the way the stock market tells us we got to be. Sometimes you got to look longer than 90 days from now. You got to look outside yourself. Goes back to my apostle comment. If you're giving in to people, you're paying it forward, it will come back.
yeah, absolutely. Wow. Thank you so much, Brian. I have learned so much myself that I'm already going to go back and replay this episode. So make sure if you're tuned in, if you're listening, if you're watching, connect with Brian. Brian, how can we connect with you? How can we go deeper into building with you?
Websites www.brianlkent.com. LinkedIn is at Brian is same thing, Brian BK Kent, PhD. Facebook is Brian L. Kent. Same for Instagram is Brian L. Kent. Most of the handles are Brian L. Kent, but if you go to the website, you can connect to all the socials.
Yeah, wow. Honestly, this was an amazing, amazing conversation. I've learned so much, and I know that those watching have also learned something new today. And I think that is the point of all of this is just learning from somebody that's in the space where they're truly serving so that they can get back. So thank you so much, Brian, for being here. Thank you for pouring into us and all of your wisdom that you shared with us today. Looking forward to seeing you again and definitely seeing you on one of our stages.
Absolutely would love to do it. Thank you.
Absolutely. What a amazing episode. I know you have your next